What's going on, Exile? Welcome to my Juggernaut Vaal Double Strike Incursion League Starter. Sorry for the late video, but it's been busy times at work lately. But either way, all the content is recorded with a 5 link and one of the gems being melee splash, even against all of the bosses, so it's definitely easy to make even more single target damage than what is already shown in this video. It's an incredibly satisfying build to play, and I saw Matthew do a champion version as his starter, so if you want to check that out, then head over to his channel. But anyway, so let's see what items I use for this budget league starter that can be taken to the end game. The unique items that I use for this build is the brass stone body armor. I use that for the high armor and the no extra damage from critical strikes. As a weapon, I went for Arn's Might for the high physical damage, as well as the accuracy with maximum frenzy charges, or the 50% crit multiplier with no frenzy charges. So that's all depending if I'm using Blood Rage or not. And for helmet, I used an Abyssus for the high physical damage, as well as the high crit multiplier. The obvious negative of this helmet is the increased physical damage taken, so that's why I went for a Juggernaut for the endurance charges, the high armor, the Pantheon, and everything else that you can use to get physical damage reduction to get around that. For rares, I went for life and resist, as well as needed attributes on all of my items. For my rings, I also tried to get some extra physical damage and accuracy. And then for the amulet, I went for even more damage, and I went for crit multiplier as well as some crit chance. For Flasks, I used an Eternal Life Flask with immune to bleeding. I used an Serious Promise, a Lion's Roar, and then a Diamond Flask with immune to freeze, and a Silver Flask with immune to curses. For gems, my main setup is with Vaal Double Strike, and with Vaal Double Strike I used melee physical damage, maim, and then I chose multi-strike since it felt better for me than something like Ancestral Call, and lastly melee splash, which I used on all content even when fighting the Minotaur, which you can see in the video right now. But really you want to switch that out for something like Bloodlust against the tougher bosses. And if you have a 6 link, I would add Ruthless on top of that. And in my main defensive setup, I use Cast from Them and Taken, level 2, Immortal Calm, level 4, Summon Ice Golem, level 4, and Blood Rage, level 8. And in my gloves, I use Cast from Damage Taken, level 1, Blade Vortex, level 8, Blind Support, and Power Charge on crit. And in my boots, I used Frost Bomb, and with Frost Bomb I have Curse on Hit, Burn Ability, and Power Charge on crit. As a movement setup, I used Leap Slam, and with Leap Slam I used Fortify and faster attacks. And then in my offhand I used Ancestral Protector, Herald of Ash, and Hatred. For skills, these are the progressions that I went with. The only major keystone that I picked up was Unwavering Stance, so that I cannot be stunned. But if I had more high-end jewels, I would most likely have removed this and gone for jewel sockets instead. For everything else, I put all of my focus on life, sword and physical damage, crit and crit multiplier, and lastly jewel sockets. For Ascendancy, I went for Undeniable for the plus 1000 to accuracy rating, as well as the increased attack speed per 200 accuracy rating. And then you also get increased accuracy and damage after you've dealt a critical strike. Secondly, I went for Unflinching, so you get 30% chance to gain an endurance charge when you are hit, and 25% chance that whenever you gain an endurance charge, you instead gain up to your maximum number of endurance charges. And then thirdly, I went for Unrelenting, so I get 1% additional physical damage reduction for every endurance charge. And then lastly, I went for Unbreakable, that gives you 5% reduced damage taken, as well as doubling the armor received from the body armor, so that's additional physical damage reduction that you receive from there. For Pantheon, I went with Soul of Lunaris as Major God for the additional physical damage reduction, and as well as chance to avoid projectiles and 5% chance to dodge attacks and spells. For Minor God, I went with Soul of Gruthgul for even more additional physical damage reduction, as well as capturing Arabic, so whenever enemies hit me, they get 8% reduced attack speed. For bandits, it'll help Alira or kill them all. For leveling, and if this isn't your first character of the new league, then I always recommend using a tabula rasa. I leveled with Molten Strike and then combined that with Ancestor's Call at level 4 and switched over to Vaal Double Strike as soon as I picked it up. But since you can use Vaal Double Strike at level 1, then if you already have that, then I would use that instead of Molten Strike, but also combine that with Ancestor Call at level 4. I then combine those with the added damage gems at level 8. If you don't have a tabula, then I would recommend farming Blood Aqueducts in Act 9 for the humility cards, and once you get 9 humility cards you can turn that into your very own tabula. Other uniques I recommend using while leveling are Nocturnal Caress Gloves, Wanderlust Boots, Darkness and Throne Belt, and Black Card Rings. The main pros for this build is definitely the high signature damage. It's a good lab runner and you have decent clear speed, as well as it's very cheap and it's fun to play. You have good min-max opportunities that can make this build very strong. The main cons for this build is that Reflect Mods is a no-go. It's also not among the fastest map clearing builds.